Hello, my friends. This is Eduardo Bunge, Lalo. We are here in this video about AI and mental health. Let's talk about it. Today, we're going to dig a little bit deeper in the mental health chatbots available in the market and how they work. So let's get started. This is going to be a very quick intro. Basically, there are two big chatbots in the area of mental health that have been tested so far, and this is based on the OneMind Cyber Guide. This is a guide that was reviewing the credibility and of the chatbots in the market. During those days, this was done 2 years ago, 2022 probably, and the two biggest chatbots that were available, or that actually still are available, are Wobot and Wisa. And my plan today is to present you other chatbots too, just so that you get to know some of the names. We have here Xiao Nan. This is a chatbot done in China. There's very good research on this chatbot. There's also very good research on Wobot and Wisa. Uper targets mostly adults with depression and anxiety. Yana, you're not alone. And here you have it. And this one is in English and Spanish. And this one is alongside. This one targets adolescents with mental health issues in general. And there's Cass, who I've been doing some research in the past. My original studies were with technology done by Cass. Now, being in the market and having research are those two things that are not necessarily correlated, right? And sometimes they are not correlated at all, right? So you may hear, we have the best chatbot in the world, but we want to look at the research. And that's what we're planning to do in the future videos that I will record. Now, if you remember last week or in the last video, I mentioned that there are rule-based chatbots and generative AI chatbots. Most of the research done in mental health were with rule-based chatbots until 2023. 2024, I am starting to see some interesting studies using generative AI for mental health. We'll talk about those ones in the future. They're amazing. And I want to share a little bit of how these chatbots look so that you get an idea of what we're going to be talking about. There's one other conversational agent that I'm not mentioning here. That's the one that we are developing by Parent AI. It's a parenting assistant tool that the idea is that therapists will use with their clients, especially in the work with the parents. So let's get forward, and I'll do like a quick test to see if you got the idea from the previous video. So I will show you some screenshots. The idea is you want to think, is this rule-based or an LLM? So this is a screenshot of Wobot, which I mentioned at the beginning. That's one of the chatbots that has the most studies on backing up its efficacy, right? Especially for postpartum depression. There's some studies on substance abuse, and there are many interesting studies on working alliance inventory. We'll talk about those ones in the next video. So here you have, Wobot is a self-help tool that is not intended to be medical intervention or replacement for in-person therapy. Here you can only say, I understand. There's no other option, right? But if you are ever experiencing an emergency, type an SOS after our chat today to get quick access to crisis resources. Got it. If you see here, you have some responses that are already presented and that you need to choose. And you can see it very clearly here at the end, where it says, great, let's start it, and you have yay or okay, Wobot. So basically you can choose two options, but the bot will move you to the other stage. Why are they doing this? Because they have to do all these disclaimers. They want to be sure that these disclaimers are done. And this is an important thing of rule-based chatbots, that you can control whatever you say. As I mentioned in the past, sometimes they have these limitations in which they don't understand, or they don't give the freedom of the user to the user to see whatever they want. I know that they are working on testing some generative AI, so hopefully in the future we'll see how they're moving forward. I'm really curious about that. But this one, are you clear about this being an LLM, a rule-based chatbot? I hope that was clear. Now let's look at this one. This one is from Wisa, right? Here you have Wisa says, okay, tell me more about that. The user says, my back's been hurting. I have no energy to do anything. I'm just sad. And the bot says, health issues remind us to care for our body and mind as we go through our day. I understand you're feeling sad. It's only natural to feel this way. How bad is it today? Are you a little sad or is it affecting you deeply? And here you have some options that you can type or actually tap, right? I'm better now, deeply hurt, don't want to talk. Rule-based or LLM? There's a long response and it's actually understanding what the client is saying here. So this is rule-based. And one important thing is that here, the client says, my back's been hurting, right? And the response of the bot is sensitive. It actually understands that there's an issue with health, but it's not specific. It's not giving a response about the specificity of the back pain, right? Again, WISA has plenty of research, and I've been doing research with them. And they have an amazing team. This is a chatbot that was developed probably 3-4 years ago, and they have actually good outcomes showing for chronic pain that they can reduce the cost of the treatment. So keep an eye on that one. I'll probably talk about that study later. But this is, again, a rules-based chatbot in which, with natural language processing, you can provide some answers to the questions that the users or the comments that the users are giving. But it's not a response that has been generated before. So now let's go to another example. Here, the therapist says, hi, Lalo, this was a roleplay that I was doing. I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling this way. Can you tell me more about what you're experiencing right now? What's been going on lately? I say, I previously said that I was depressed, right? I say, I don't want to get out of bed, right? I said, it sounds like getting out of bed is really difficult for you right now. So the body's understanding what I'm saying, and it's generating a response that continues saying, that can be a sign that you're feeling overwhelmed or lacking motivation. Can you tell me more about what's making it hard to get up? Are there any specific thoughts or feelings that are weighing you down? As you can see, the response is pretty open, and it opens to many things that I can say, right? And I say, I feel very tired with no energy. I'm sorry you're feeling this way, Lalo. Sympathetic, it's valid, right? Fatigue and low energy can be really tough to deal with. Have you noticed if there are any particular times, blah, blah, blah. So is this rule-based, or do you think that this is an LLM, a large language model that's on the back? In this case, it's actually ChatGPT. I gave a quick prompt at the beginning, say, act as a therapist, doing therapy through text message. So the responses are kind of shorter and allow for an interaction with the user, right? So this is an example of an LLM bot. ChatGPT has not been designed for mental health, but of course, many people are using this and are making lots of questions about mental health in ChatGPT. And we can talk about later about the quality of the responses that they will get. Now, here's another example about from the very first version of what we've been doing with Pat, our parenting bot. So here this is a fake example, right? Sorry to hear that, Lucas. Let me help you. What behavioral concerns are you having with your child? Remember, this is for parents. And we said he hits his friends. The bot says, can you provide a little bit more information about your child's hitting his friends? It would be helpful to understand the context and any triggers that may be causing this behavior. So whenever he gets frustrated, he loses his temper, there's typos, etc., and the bot still gets this, right? So it says, it can be challenging, for both you and Lucas when he loses his temper and hits his friends, when he gets frustrated. How do you feel about this situation, Lucas, right? What you can see here is that the bot got the idea of hitting, got the name, and got the idea of hitting and loses his temper. So the previous two responses are captured in this other response. So is this an LLM? Is this a rule-based chatbot? What do you think? Okay, here, I don't know your answers, but let me tell you that there's kind of sort of a combination. We're doing, in this case, an LLM using agentic architecture. So this allows us to have bots that talk to each other and have different functionalities. One bot is in charge of remembering about the user. The other bot is in charge of understanding the context of the user. The other bot is in charge of teaching a skill. And the other bot is in charge of assessing if the skill was taught or not. And if it was completed, there's another bot that moves the user to the next stage. And there's one bot that orchestrates everything. So this is called agentic architecture. And this is a way of helping the large language models to work more efficiently. We will talk about this in future videos. I hope that this gives you a little bit of a hint on how these chatbots in mental health are working right now. And what's important is, remember, there are pros and cons. Rule-based are very safe. They will never say something like dangerous or harmful for the client, for the user. But sometimes the users feel that they are not understood by the bot, right? Or you don't have the freedom of saying whatever you want. The LLMs, you have the freedom of saying whatever you want, but you don't know where the bot will lead you to. The agentic architecture is a way of controlling a little bit of these LLMs so that we know a little bit better where they can go. Okay, that would be all for this part of rule-based chatbots. Now, here, this is a bonus. Let me show you this thing. Here we have a conversation with a bot from Meta. It's called Lorena, and it's asking me, what type of vacations are you looking for? Beach, city, adventure, etc. When are you planning to travel? Do you have budget in mind? This sounds like not related to mental health. Lorena is in charge of something different. I said, hey, can you help me with my child behavior? Let's see the response. Amico, please, I'm a travel guide, not a child psychologist. Wink, right? This is a response from an LLM, but there's something very different from what we're used to see in LLMs such as Gemini or ChatGPT or even Claude, right? So Meta kind of puts some personality to the bots. So this is very interesting that we are seeing bots that actually when we design bots, we have to think of how's the personality that we want them to have. This kind of sassy bot for travel agency or for Meta in which you want to talk about whatever you want and have fun can be sassy. Would you do a sassy bot for mental health? There's a big risk there. So for a mental health bot, when you're thinking of the personality, you want to see, maybe I want it to be more professional. I want it to be more empathic, right? Never use humor because you don't know how it may go with the client. So, or if you use humor, you're going to have it very controlled, right? But this Meta chatbot is sassy. And we've seen that, for example, for chatbots for college students, they compare an extroverted chatbot versus a very formal chatbot. The extroverted would say things such as, hey, my friend, are you ready to study a little bit? Or do you have some time to catch up with the study guide, right? And the other one is, okay, let's study, more formal, right? College students liked more the extroverted chatbot. In the case of Pat, what we're doing is a chatbot that's more conscientious and empathic, right? We want to be very kind of scientifically minded, but also empathic with the clients. And we want to be sure that we give all the things that the parents need. So these are some things to keep in mind if you're thinking of using a bot. Try to see what's the personality that they have, or especially if you're designing it, see what's the purpose that you're looking for. Am I targeting youth? Am I targeting adults? And think of how you want the bot to be perceived, and think how you want the bot to provide the responses. With LLMs, you can tell the bot which is the type of personality that you want them to have. Okay, I hope you enjoy this. The next video is going to be on relationships with AI bots. I am very excited about that topic. I hope you're too. See you soon. Remember, this is AI and mental health. Let's talk about it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it. I will be posting updates every week about the latest research on chatbots. These videos until now have been a little bit more like an introduction, but I will be more research focused and very updated on what I present. Hope you like them. See you soon.